from Chajistown. Welding la de liggéey dama job I bunta I palanteer bi mooy suma number bi 3855 798.
Hello, good morning. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. We are back again on another edition. Thank you very much for always willing and following this program. And to our viewers in the United States of America and other parts of Europe as well, and not forgetting those that follow this program in the other parts of Africa as well. So good morning to you. I am with Julde Njai here. Julde, good morning. How are you? How have you been? We miss you.
Good morning, Balde. Good morning to our viewers from wherever you're watching us from. I've been great. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
I've been great. Yeah.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
So how are you managing the rains? I mean, it's August. I mean, it rains sometimes,
It's crazy.
and you know, unexpectedly you rain. So, I mean, how are you coping?
It's not easy. I mean, aside from the floods and all of that, it's mosquitoes everywhere. So one has to be very careful. You know, use mosquito net
Absolutely.
or you know,
That's the
you
solution.
do a thorough cleansing or cleaning exercise of your house. But aside from that, yeah, you have to reschedule. Sometimes you have a meeting, but because of the rains, you have to reschedule the meeting and all of that. But yeah, we're coping with it.
Exactly. Yeah, so today we are changing our format of doing the program. So we will not start with the newspaper review, but we will do the African code. Then we will engage the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, Honorable Babakar Usmaila Diouf. Honorable, you are welcome on the program.
Good morning, Balde and Julde. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me this morning.
Yeah.
And thank you for reformatting your program to accommodate me. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a program where we want you know, people to come and tell us what they are doing, what they are up to. So, I mean, adjusting the program to suit, I mean, your timing, it's very important to us as well. So, thank you very much once again for honoring our invitation.
You're welcome.
Yes.
It's a
So,
pleasure.
let's start with the African code, Honorable. Normally we have codes that we engage you know, our guest on. So we will try to engage you so that you can also see how to interpret this African proverb. As you know, African proverbs are very significant in our society. Sometimes African proverbs instill discipline in an individual, or it tells you a moral lesson of a certain thing. So they found no wrong with the rose, so they complain it has thorns. They found no wrong with the rose, so they complain it has thorns.
That's interesting. I have no clue what the authors or the culture that brought that had in mind. I really have no clue. I can only do a literal interpretation, which I'm not sure would make sense. If this is about trying to ensure that whatever is on the plate is designed in your own favor, irrespective of what the logic and all this was behind it, perhaps. But really, like I said, I admit, hands up, no idea why this is an African saying. I have no clue.
Okay, all right. Let's hear from Julde Njai.
For me, okay. For me, I think you kind of get it, Honorable. It's the fact that when people cannot pinpoint the wrongs in you, they always try as much as possible to actually get something wrong if they want to get it wrong. For instance, comme waxe nuñ ko dee waxee rek nit ko xamne loo seetlu si nit ki rek nga gis ko si moom. Even though you have a bed of roses, or you're perfect, you're all that, you're good, you're kind and all of that, but if anyone wants to really see the good, the bad in you, they will eventually see the bad in you.
But there is a saying in our local dialect.
Right.
which probably would have been easier for a Serere from Jongon. If you had brought in the Mandinka saying that ikosloye bantabato neto mortale. Ako wol kunyata lata buka wol domo. It's more or less
exactly
the same logic. Yeah, but thank you for educating me.
Yeah, I mean, it's telling you no matter what happened, there must be individuals who will pinpoint the negativity or the negative vibes. I mean, it's important for an individual to just focus on what you do. I mean, make sure you do it best. I mean, don't let any stone unturned. Make sure, I mean, you do what you are supposed to do to the best of your ability. No matter what. Because at the end of the time, there must be critics. I mean, we have seen, let's take a good example of your government. I mean, we have seen, even if the government, I mean, do good, there must be individuals who will pinpoint okay, this is done, but why is this thing not working this way? You understand? So, I mean, this is human nature. I mean, it keeps happening. And, you know, there is no way one can eradicate negative vibes sometimes.
No, you can't.
But, I mean, if negative vibes keeps you stagnant, at the end of time, there will be no movement. So, it's important for one to do what you have to do. And, you know, just let the judge to judge at the end of the time. So let's move on. I mean, we will be discussing strengthening Gambia's agri-business sector. I mean, that's the topic of discussion, Honorable Minister. It's important for us to, discuss this because at some point we've been talking a lot about how to strengthen our agribusiness sector, how to strengthen certain things. So first, let's start with what challenges is the agribusiness sector going through?
Thank you very much, Balde. I remember I am the Minister of Trade. Industry, regional integration and employment. We have a stake in agribusiness, but probably the proper appraisal of the problems in the sector and all those would be better handled by the Minister of Agriculture.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I said we have a stake because we are trying to bring business into agriculture, to move it away from subsistence farming, to ensure that we get the farmers to think business when they go to their farms, when they enter their gardens. They think profit, they think revenue, they think income. So that aspect, that angle is what we bring to agriculture. And that's the essence of agribusiness. So that in the end, the farmers begin to look at what they do as not just doing it for feeding their families, but doing it in order to become prosperous. Prosperity is the target for all of them, all what they do, whether this is in poultry farming, this is in horticulture, this is in, you know, in animal husbandry, whatever they are doing. Aquaculture, all these things that you do that farmers are involved in. The idea is at the end of the day, they become more prosperous. They're able to look after their families, educate them, you know, train them, do all the things that they really want to do. So that's the angle that our ministry brings to agriculture. Yeah.
So recently, you conducted, let's say, a tour sort of to key business centers, Kasu, poultry farms, you know. So tell us the general purpose of this particular visit.
Yeah, once in a while, we look at our files as well. And this is the Kasu plant, the Kasu factory in particular. This was a return trip. I was there, I think, in the first month I was appointed as minister. Like I was saying in the introduction, this is a factory with a lot of potential. When I visited it in 2022, they had a problem. They had spent more than $1 million in equipment, and the equipment was not working. It's like it was a wasted investment. Even though they sought and got, technical advice from the African Kasu network, they still bought the wrong equipment. They did everything. They brought experts from all over the world to fix them, but they were the wrong thing in the first place. So we had to remove that. My ministry intervened and spoke with the Ministry of Agriculture. The Giraffe project supported them to replace the equipment, the faulty equipment. So now they have installed the new equipment, and as you can see, they've started work again. It was appropriate that I went back there to see how the new equipment is working, and then talk with the proprietor and his staff to look at ways of how to scale up production. You will remember that recently I was in China, and I signed an agreement with the Chinese government, a protocol to export cashew to the Chinese market.
Right.
As a government, we are now concerned particularly about the level of production and productivity, value addition particularly, so that we can begin to see cashew being exported. We all know, every Gambian knows that we need to boost our export, game, to be able to bring in the much needed foreign exchange, but also to create the jobs that we need. So that's one of the reasons that took me out. The second one, as you see, if I may continue, there is this lady I visited, Asi's factory or production center. The lady is called Oli Ndao. I received a letter and an introductory letter from her some months ago.
Right.
I decided I wanted to see what she was doing and how she was doing it. This lady is producing vinegar. She's doing detergent. She's doing sprays, body, everything. She's doing everything from. She's just so creative.
Wow.
I wanted to go and see how she was manufacturing or producing these items, and that was an eye-opener. And the third one was I visited a poultry in Basuri. Yeah, for a reason obvious, quite obvious. We know the amount of poultry consumed in this country is currently massive, and we want to do all what we can as a government to ensure that at some point the producers, the poultry producers of this country are able to fill the local market, the domestic market with local production. So I went there to ask some questions, but I was particularly attracted to this particular poultry because the first thing I heard about them was that they are working on the possibility of producing feed, which is a critical ingredient, a critical input into the poultry industry. So that was the reason I went out.
Yeah. So for the Kasu, Kasu gum, the visit that you went there, like what was some of the key takeaways during that visit?
I was satisfied that currently the factory is up and running. He's also getting supplies, but he's not getting enough. And that's a challenge we need to fix urgently. I have succeeded in setting up a task force with them whilst we were there. GIPA was with me on the trip. That's the Gambia Investment and Export Promotion Agency. I was also with the International Trade Center in the trip. We agreed that they should sit with them and revisit their business model so that we find a way to invite domestic direct investment, partnership, even if that is domestic. If it's going to be foreign, it's also normal, but they need investment into the factory so that they can improve on the acquisition of raw materials and scale up their production in order to be able to do at least a container 40-foot container per week. If they're able to do that, then we believe they'll break even, they'll be able to be profitable, they'll also increase their domestic employment. Currently, they're doing well with close to 100 people, but they should be able to get up to 400 people if they are on full-scale production. Their installed capacity is about a 40-foot container per week should be able to come out of that factory. So that is good.
So let's talk about the government's strategy to boost local industries. I mean, what are you doing about that?
You know, first and foremost, you have to have the framework to industry is a very important part of any development in any country. And we realized the need for us to work on the policy framework. We have started reviewing very important instruments. First, let me talk about the development of an industry policy. We are working on 2026-2041, hoping next year that policy will be completed. We are very far with it. We are looking at the GAIPA Act, which is 2015. We are reviewing it and bringing it up to speed with the current situation in the investment world, so that we look at both investment and export strategies. We are also looking at local content is a new bill that is at an advanced stage as well. We are hoping it will be finalized by the end of this year. Recently, you might be aware, we merged Standards Bureau, the Gambia Standards Bureau with the weights and measures. All these reforms we are making is to make the environment, the investment or the industry environment more tenable, more impactful, and aligning these policies with what is happening on the ground. And that's why last year I did some tours, industrial tours, but I also had the support of His Excellency the President. We went out on an industrial tour for the first time. All these things gave us a lot of insights as to what is happening on the ground. But one thing we have to do is to align our policies with practically what our farmers are doing. So this way we should be able to ensure that at the end of the day, we enhance production, because that's the bottom line. We want to improve on our level of production, but we also want to improve on productivity. We want to see value addition given, prominence across the industries. We want to see a situation where we are able to, you see, exports. This is a very, very critical part. So many things are happening in this country that can go out into the sub-region and even beyond the sub-region to the rest of the continent, leveraging on the AFCFTA, leveraging on ECOWAS, but also leveraging on advantages we have with the Chinese market. Recently, I signed an agreement pact with the Chinese Minister of Trade whilst I was there to engage the Gambia in negotiations on specifics as to how we'll improve on our trade facilitation and production. These things I'm emphasizing and I'm harping on production. We need to do a lot more. For example, we can take groundnuts to China at the moment, but groundnut is produced in 3 months. We only depending at the moment on rain-fed agriculture, and it's only what we're able to produce in the 4 months of the raining season that we are hoping to export. That needs to change. We need to come in with 2 cycles or 3 cycles. We should be able to do 3 productions in 12 months, because that's 9 months. So the other 3 we use for our preparations. These are things that we need to do urgently.
So how are we going to do that?
All you need at the moment is investment. You have the land. You know about the land, labor, and capital. You just need to reorganize farming. Bring in industrial skills into agriculture and particularly into groundnut production. The land is there. After October, November, the harvest, the land remains lying there for the next 8-9 months. What do we do with that? So bring in irrigation, bring in, boreholes, bring in equipment, and continue. When you harvest, you start another season. If you go to places like Liberia, Ghana, Nigeria, they do 2, seasons every year or 3. Sierra Leone, because they have 9 months of rain or 7 months of rain. Gambia has only 4. So we must come in with some creativity to ensure that we utilize our land maximally, and then you increasing the productivity of the people because you are producing 3 times. You do the same thing with rice. If you are able to produce at Maruo farms and you do that 3 cycles in the year, you are multiplying the volume that he is producing in one season by 3. And this is the only way you can now bring about the food security thing. So the agri-business that I was saying in the beginning is what you are going to take into agriculture to change the production pattern. And this is why our focus is on industrialization, and that is, in our view, as advised by His Excellency, industrialization is the future for this country. For economic diversification, economic prosperity, we need to focus our attention to a large extent on industrialization.
So in that case, do you have any plans to collaborate with the Ministry of Agriculture to get these things done?
We are collaborating. We are talking very frequently, and we're in fact in the process of setting up a joint task force, agriculture, finance, and trade, so that this conversation at the technical level is supposed to be a continuous thing. Yes, we are talking, and the collaboration is definitely obvious. We are condemned to work together for economic prosperity in this country.
My only fear is, I mean, we talk a lot, we create a lot of task force. At the end of the time, the result becomes the same, Honorable Minister. What is going to assure, the public, this is going to be a different dynamic?
Task force are important. I am a specialist in collaborative leadership. That's what I studied. And I know individuals can do a lot of things, but our production, our productivity, our level of productivity increases, it improves if we work in groups, if we work together. And that is what we believe in. If you bring in talent and skills from agriculture, those with a background in agriculture, you bring skills and talents from the Ministry of Trade, and you combine them, the output of that combined effort is going to be far better and richer than having agriculture to work exclusively and pass it on to trade. I believe in collaboration. I give you a typical example. We engaged the Chinese government 2 years ago about our groundnut going to China, our cashew going to China, our mango going to China, our sesame going to China, because we have to create markets for our farming population. Within 2 years, we were able to resolve the problem that was there for the longest time. That is the suspicion and the issues around aflatoxin in our groundnuts. We resolved the problem by setting up a task force between agriculture and trade under my supervision, with support from Honorable Demba Sabali. In 2 years, we provided the reports, the plan that the Chinese government reviewed and found satisfactory, and gave Gambia the ticking of the box we were looking for in decades.
Don't have aflatoxins.
No. You have it, but you have a plan that will mitigate the effects, the impact of aflatoxin in the quality of groundnut that we are sending to China. So now we have fixed that by combining agriculture and trade. Over a period of 2 years, we were able to produce the requirements of the Chinese authorities. And now we are ready to take our groundnut, our cashew, our mango, our sesame to China. We have just signed groundnut and cashew. Mango is already given a clean bill of health to go to China. So these are the things that you do when you work in teams.
So it's important that we boost our export trade, but also it's important, like locally, for people to be able to get these things. How do we then strike a balance between exporting our produce to China and other countries and then having it here abundantly?
I talked about value addition earlier. What we will actually prefer is to add value to all these products here. Like you saw the Kasu being processed. We want all the Kasu that is being produced in this country to be processed, packaged, and exported. That's when they will fetch more money for the economy. We want to see a similar thing with groundnut. But that's a process. You need to bring in the factories to be located here. Currently, we have 2 very efficient, state-of-the-art Kasu producing plants that I know. I've visited. One is in Tanje, the other one is Kasugam that I visited recently. With the capacity in those 2, we should be able to send containers of Kasu to China and to US and Europe, because currently they are exporting to the US, they are exporting to Europe. But I'm just saying we have just found a new market where we have been given quota-free, duty-free, 100%. You can take anything that is agricultural produce from the Gambia to China without any restriction. So that is 1.3 billion market in terms of consumers, in addition to AFCFTA 1.4 billion. So Gambians can produce anything now, and the market is available for them to sell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honorable Minister, let's talk about unemployment. What is your ministry doing to, solve the issue of unemployment, especially the youths, among the youths?
This is one of the reasons. You see, industry is where jobs are created.
Right.
Industry is what we have to focus on. The ministry is doing a lot of things to facilitate investment into this country, for both foreign and domestic. That's why I mentioned the reviews we are doing with the GAIPA Act. We are doing a couple of things. We have some policies that encourage a lot of investment in this country. Currently, the environment is so conducive. And that's why you can see when President Barrow took over in 2017, the investments, foreign direct investment into this country was less than $50 million US. Last year, we were talking about $350 million US last year alone. So this is, it's growing rapidly because the environment is being fixed. Currently, we are doing a lot of work with business registration. We are doing a lot of work with investment facilitation. We are doing a lot of work with export facilitation. And that's why we are working on the special economic zone we've been talking about. That is going to be in Jara. It's going to be located in Jara Soma, around the border, towards the Misira border. But the idea behind that is that we want to locate a minimum of 60 factories that will produce a lot of things, different variety of things. Wow. We are thinking components. For example, we may not be able to produce vehicles just immediately. But what is stopping us from producing accelerator pedals of vehicles, components of vehicles, steering wheels? What is stopping us from producing that? What is stopping us from producing components of mobile phones, components of a television? Maybe this is the cable to plug the television to the electricity. All these are, this is what we are thinking and working towards, hoping in the next couple of months we will start work in Jara so that this kind of investments are allowed. But employment depends on how we are able to get our industries to work. What I've just talked about in agriculture, if you are able to have 3 cycles and you are able to take, for example, an economic, let's say an agropole, take the whole of Nyomi, right up to Balangar. We are the best groundnut farmers in the country. I'm sure Demba Sabali will agree with that. You take that to Nyomi and ensure that they have access to water on their farms. They have other inputs like fertilizers. They have other equipment, like tractors and sign machines and all these things ready. They are just ready to work. Engage them. This is employment.
Right.
That's employment. That's how it will come. The issue of SMEs, what we did with Oli in Brikama, she's currently employing 16 people. We are working with her from that visit. I think I should say this. We have indication from ITC that they will be getting support. GAIPA has some funds. We are calling it the Enterprise Development Fund. We have tens of millions in that fund. We have already done the policy that will operationalize it. We have constituted the board. They have been inaugurated. They have started meeting. So those are some of the funds that you utilize to support Oli and her likes in infrastructure, for example. Currently, she's doing all the work manually. We want to see, even if it is going to be semi-automation, industrial automation is important. That will speed up the production, will increase the volumes that she's producing, then she will employ more people. She's employing 16 people, doing all this work from her room, her parlor. It's amazing. So this is how employment will be created. It's by enhancing, by supporting private sector, working with the private sector, ensuring the environment is conducive for them to invest and expand what they are doing. That's when they will bring other people to produce. And once you are ensuring that export is possible, and this is why, again, it's important for me to say that we are working with our neighbors. Senegal, you know, our population is 2.8. We know we need other markets. This is why we are very active in ECOWAS. We are very active in AFCFTA, but we are also working on bilateral trade cooperation agreements that we have with Senegal. We are constantly talking with our counterparts. Recently, we have worked on a tripartite agreement, trade cooperation agreement with Senegal and Bissau. All this will give us a larger common market. And that's why we're helping to ensure we can sell a lot more items, a lot more widgets. That is when the need will arise for more people to be employed. So we are addressing employment through industrialization and through trade facilitation.
Okay, all right. I mean, regional integration, I mean, considering our market, how small our market is, what are we doing to make sure it benefits the Gambia?
You know, the economic bloc, ECOWAS, was formed 60 years ago or 50 years ago, 1975, for the same reason. It was to ensure we have the free movement of goods and persons. I think that was the first protocol that Sir Dawda and his colleagues signed. For 50 years, we've been trying to achieve this, like we've seen in the European Union. We are jealous, and we want to have something even better. We want to be far more integrated than Europe is. But it comes with a lot of challenges. Remember the partitioning of Africa did not do a lot of good with integration. We see ourselves a lot as individual countries, and that is impeding the rate of integration. But a lot of work is being done through ECOWAS. AFCFTA, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area or Agreement, is also aimed at achieving that at a larger scale. That is bringing all the other blocks, the Eastern Bloc, the Southern Bloc, the Central Bloc, all of them coming together with the Western Bloc to form the African Continental Free Trade and a single market of 1.4 billion consumers. Arguably, that's the largest consumer market globally, and we're hoping to be able to benefit from this. So what we are saying to Gambians is, let's think big. Whoever, and this is how we are selling the Gambia to investors now, that we are not selling to you a population of 2.8. We are selling to you a population of 1.4 billion people, in addition to our access duty-free, quota-free to the Chinese market, which is an addition to the 1.4. So this is about 1/3 of the world can buy your products if you are making them in the Gambia. And this is very, very important.
It is. So the issue of Jarasoma, the factories that you're supposed to work on, tell us, where is the fund coming from and how much are we really talking about here? Because I want to believe it requires a lot of investment.
We are talking about a study has been done. The context is that when we conceived of the idea, we engaged partners. The African Development Bank came in. They provided us about $100,000 to get a consultant to do a feasibility study, which has been done. The environmental impact study has also been done. We have a bankable project that we have started selling. Currently, my team, the technical team, is in Malaysia. Their trip was sponsored by the Islamic Development Bank this time, because we have a project that we can share with our partners. How it's going to be sponsored or funded is what we are negotiating at the moment. The World Bank is involved. We have received some support from the World Bank to help with the initial infrastructure. But we need to deal with the infrastructure, roads. We need to deal with the services, electricity and water. You know, government works as a collective. The Ministry of Energy is advertising at the moment for 50 kilowatt power generation, clean energy in Jarasoma to provide electricity for this center. There's already the OMVG. We also need water in there. We need some infrastructure. Apart from the roads, you will need the sanitary thing. You call it the how do you call this again? The drainage system. All these things need to be built and built perfectly for generations yet unborn. So that level done, you asked about the cost. It will be in the region of $500 million US, $500 million US dollars is what we need to build it. But I mean, we do not need to struggle with that because we have partners that are ready to invest in this already. I know companies in Nigeria that are doing the same thing in Togo and in Benin that are interested in ours. We know Afrexim Bank is currently working with us. They have in fact invited us to Algeria. In the next couple of days, we'll be there with them. They're interested in providing all the financing so that the Gambia government develops the special economic zone, and whichever company wants to come in, we collect rents from them in order to pay the financing that we got. So we are not having problems, and it's not coming from the GLF. So no worries. We're going to, this is happening everywhere. Senegal has Jamñajo. You have Benin and Togo have very successful ones. Even Ethiopia, I was there a couple of months ago. They have a very successful special economic zone. This is the way to go, and this is what Gambia is about to do for the first time. We're getting into this, and in fact ours is a unique one. The study suggested that we shouldn't be confined to a special economic zone. We should ensure that it is sandwiched within a free zone that expands right up to URR. In other words, the entire country is going to be industrialized in the future. But it starts with the special economic zone, and then it will expand.
So finally,
do we have,
okay, go ahead.
Still on this, do
Yes,
we have the capacity to actually get things done? I mean, Gambians.
Amazingly, the Gambian we are about to use as the coordinator, we have started engaging with him in discussions, was involved in developing a special economic zone in Bahrain. He's a Gambian.
Nice.
So we have skills. Gambians are all over the world with talent and skill. And we will mobilize them, we will bring them, we will work with them, and this is actually going to be Gambian-led.
Yeah, so finally, what is the ministry doing for decent work, conditions for all employees across different sectors?
When I came in, I remember I'm coming from the trade unions. I'm a trade union guy. My background is about rights of workers. That's what I did for 30 years before becoming a minister. And I took the Commission of Labor very seriously. I'm still having some challenges to fix with the structure itself, but it's a process, and we have started that. We are working on reforms. You're talking about decent work. Currently, we have, I think, 3 bills or amendments at the Ministry of Justice awaiting drafting. One of them is the injuries compensation bill. Even though you pay to Social Security, the bill sits in our ministry because we are the ministry in charge of labor or employment. That bill requires updating. The last time it was touched was 1980.
Wow.
So that's about 40 years ago, 40-something years ago.
That was a long time.
That's a long time ago. So the measures, the penalties, the compensation particularly is the one that gives me headache. Yeah, because if in the 21st century you can say the maximum compensation that anyone can receive after any injury, whatever the degree of injury at work, is $180,000. So we are fixing those things. But it's a process. You don't fix them by just going to the bill and taking a pen and changing what is there. It goes through a process. We have walked through a consultant. The Commonwealth Secretariat has helped us with a lot of reforms, with the Consumer Protection Act, with the other acts like the Competition Act. Those ones have been reviewed. In addition to this one, I've just mentioned the Injuries Compensation Act. But we are also coming up with a trade union bill. You know, the coming of democracy, thanks to His Excellency's government, has made it very fluid that we have calls for strikes and demonstrations, and this requires regulation. And like in every country, you need to have a system to call doctors to a strike. It shouldn't just happen overnight. If you take journalists on a strike or a sit-down strike or any industrial action, it means we do not see pictures the following day. But the same thing happens. It's more serious if this happens with the police, if it happens with the military, if it happens with the doctors, if it happens with the nurses. So you need to have some rules, some order. And this all about work. It's about giving workers the rights they deserve as prescribed in the ILO conventions. We are also working on ILO conventions that have not been ratified by this country. We have identified 8. We have looked at them. We are trying to domesticate them. We are working with the National Assembly on that. So all this we are doing in terms of labor management to ensure that workers have their rights, and when those rights are trampled on, there are consequences. I mentioned the draft bill we have on local content. All this is focusing a lot of attention on the worker, particularly the domestic staff. So all these things we are doing to ensure that at the end of the day you are protected, your rights are preserved, and you are comfortable to go to work and come back.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for talking to us on QTV this morning. And we hope to engage you more in the future.
I look forward to coming back.
Yes.
QTV is really our friend. When you call, we will come.
True.
So we're waiting for that call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You
yeah,
too.
so viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, the newspaper review with Mr. Adedrame. We'll be back.
Q Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Mitoma. First time cross, really threatening, and it's dropped for Minte, rifled in! Out.
Did you know you can buy cash power using Q Money Wallet absolutely free up to $30,000 Cs? Use our app or dial 323# and select Q Power. Choose Register Meter. Enter your meter number. Dial *323# and follow these simple steps. Number 1, select option 3 for Q Power. Number 2, choose option 1 to buy any amount of Q Power. Enjoy free QCell airtime every time you cash in to purchase Q Power. For any inquiries, call 133. Q Money, Sunyu Kalbe.
Hi there, my name is Nuruddin Adams, a proud product of this noble institution. Heritage Christian University is not just a learning place, but a community that transforms lives and empowers its students to become compassionate entrepreneurial leaders. My journey here has truly been life-changing, and I invite you to come experience the same. Whether your passion is into business, nursing, midwifery, psychology, communication studies, multimedia technology, information technology, or theology and ministry, Heritage has tailored these programs for both the undergraduate and graduate studies to suit your goal. If you're ever ready to take your education to the next level, then pick up an application form and join us today. At Heritage, you are never alone, as members of the community will stand and walk with you every step of the way. Welcome to Heritage Christian University.
Back. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. From that engagement there with Minister Juve, now let's move on to the newspaper review. And we have no other than Mr. Adidrame on the guest seat now. Mr. Adidrame, it's good to have you.
The two and only. Yeah, it's good to be here.
You're wearing the sea green, or is it the sea green or the light green?
It's kind of, I don't know, olive green, I think it might be.
Olive. Yeah. How do you call dita in English? I mean,
dita is dita. Some languages, you have to just take it, you know, like baobab is ours. Yeah. Wherever you go is baobab.
Baobab, yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
Dita. Dita is Wolof.
You have to, yeah. So, you know, you take it.
It has a scientific word, though.
Dita.
There probably is
a very ugly scientific name, yeah.
Is it Mangafera indica?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, so it's good to have you, Mr. Ade. We'll be going through some of the papers on the newspaper, and you know, we take a look at what's happening. I mean, let's start with Jabang. The kids that when they're drifting. I mean, unfortunately, the community didn't cheer them up, but they pelted them with stones. That was a good one.
Community was not in the mood to be drifted at. And so they laid into them and laid into their vehicles. And interestingly, you had lots of people saying, look, I don't believe in mob justice, but, you know, this is becoming quite a menace around the country. People are being injured, people are being killed by these idiots. And so, they certainly won't be going there again. And others will think, maybe this will happen to us if we go somewhere else. Yeah. So, you know, I hear people sometimes complaining.
My problem is, I mean, I saw on the video, there were 2 police officers that intervened. But 2 police officers with that crowd and that amount of vehicle, what can they do?
Yeah, I mean, I heard people sort of complaining about the police, and I did post on one. I said, what exactly do you want them to do? They can't be everywhere. It's not as if these people send out a notice saying, you know, we're going to be drifting in this area or that area. And you know, there happen to be 2 policemen around. As you said, with that crowd, what could they do? Very little, without, you know, themselves also being in danger, physical danger. So there wasn't much they could do, really. There have been instances, we know, the instance that happened around GRTS, where the police gave chase. Yeah, the Piero. And yes, you know, and eventually these people were apprehended. But, you know, the laws also need to change. The sanctions need to be stiffer. The fines need to be stiffer fines, and maybe, well, not maybe, have imprisonment. I think if a couple of them are locked up for a couple of years, at least, it might make them think twice or thrice before they engage in such behavior.
So GDC is accusing NPP of politics of manipulation.
Of manipulation. It's a curious one because, you know...
Standard's newspaper.
Yeah, that's on the Standard, top right-hand corner. You know, politics by definition, whether you want to call it manipulation or persuasion or whatever. Essentially, you're trying to convince the public that you are the right party for them to gravitate towards. And when elections come, they want you to vote for them. So I'm not sure whether it's manipulation necessarily, but it's what politics is kind of about, really. But it depends on the context, of course. I'm not sure what they're saying that they're manipulating exactly. So it would be good to know what exactly it refers to. I mean, in the middle there, I don't know whether you dealt with this, probably not. 2 killed in bus accident.
Yeah, GTSC
bus.
Wow, GTSC bus.
Yes, overturned. I think they're the only Gambian who hasn't received it in his, in his WhatsApp.
I didn't.
Happened yesterday.
Oh, this is
and there we have
unfortunate.
an image. It's tragic, really.
We thought these were the safest buses. That's why people fly on them.
Yeah, but so we don't know what happened in the situation. They said it veered off the road. Police are investigating.
Kalaji?
Kalaji, yes. So they've named one of the deceased, a man, on the police page, and this is a woman who also died, is unidentified. Others who were badly injured were taken to hospital. There's a health center. They've been taken to a health center. So yeah, as you rightly say, we perceive these to be the safest of the buses that are plying these long routes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
and usually they're in very good condition. So we don't know what happened in this. Did the driver sleep? Did he just lose control? I mean, who knows? I guess the investigation will reveal. Yeah.
So still on this standard, Tumanjai condemns death of baby from FGM. It's tragic.
Wow, that was crazy.
Gambia made world news for all the wrong reasons yesterday. Of course, it's the kind of thing that the global media like to descend upon. And so BBC carried very prominently and an interview with Patu Balde. And yeah, it's quite shocking, a baby. And I guess now we wait and see what is to happen. Will people be prosecuted? And if not, why not? And if they are prosecuted, is it just going to be one of these, a paltry fine? That
I'm just scared of the laws. Sometimes these laws, they will, you will do severe actions, severe crimes, but at the end of time, the prosecution fine you with just 5,000 and you go back home, or 10,000.
Well, not the prosecution. I mean, the judgment, a judge or a magistrate can only give a verdict based on what the law allows. If you did something minor, the thing is minor. But some of the serious ones, including some of the kind of road traffic accident ones, the law does need to be changed and needs to be amended. And some of them we need to amend them quickly, because you end up with judgments that the public don't think are just, And so we do need to look at this law. So as I said, in this one, not just Tumanjai who's condemned it, I think everybody has condemned it who's heard about the case.
Yes, on the Standards newspaper, the Red Stones, Berewuleng, bounces back in CAF qualifiers. You know what Berewulengs are? It means the Red Stones.
The Red Stones.
I think their area, they have this gravel road. Right. They call them Berewuleng or something.
Right.
Yes. So they bounces back.
Bounce back. I'm assuming they probably lost the first leg and won the second leg. I'm not sure. It would be good to delve into that one.
Yeah.
We should ask Julde, who's the football expert. I'm kidding. Before people start sending football questions to you, Julde.
To me. So on the Point newspaper, we have UDP to protest over controversial ID card issuance abroad.
But I will allow Julde to read it. What is this protest again over ID card issuance?
They're claiming that ID cards are being issued at some of the embassies and high commissions. And I think their contention is that they should only be issued here. So you can send in your details, and it gets, because they think that somehow will be open to abuse if it's done abroad. One of the things they fear is that non-Gambians will register, and I hear this all the time.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, for non-Gambians to register and make a dent in an election, you would have to register tens, if not hundreds of thousands. And I'm not sure hundreds of thousands of these are being issued abroad. It would be nice to get the figures. But that seems to be one of the fears. You're talking about a few hundred or a few thousand.
Yeah.
Like really, really minuscule numbers that are being issued abroad. So, but the contention is that it might be open to abuse if it's not done centrally, which made me laugh because even here,
I mean,
it's a joke.
Difference?
It's a joke. I mean, honestly, the sort of objection is a joke because we know how crooked the system is here. We know of people who've been deported, come back, get a different ID, and they go back to that country or another country. So it's a joke that, you know, this is open to abuse because it's not happening here. It's open to abuse here. So yeah, I don't get it. I really don't. No.
Yeah, so we still move on. I mean, cocaine, firearms, and bail. Drug Law Enforcement Agency invites Paulo after foreign arrest.
Yes.
I smelled Pablo Escobar. It sounds like that. Drugs and cartel, you know, guns.
Oh, indeed.
Pablo Escobar.
So there's been a series of cocaine-related cases that have been running, and there have been some disturbing instances recently. Somebody was arrested in Senegal over the weekend, allegedly going from here to Senegal with cocaine, a large amount of cocaine. So that is a concern, you know, and the article I read was saying that, is this in danger of becoming a kind of drugs hub? Well, if you look online, they've labeled the whole of this coast, the so-called Guinea coast, a drugs hub. From, you know, the drugs are not manufactured here. They're usually in South and Central America, and they come here. They come to Cape Verde, Senegal, Gambia, of course, Guinea-Bissau. So it's a concern because we don't have strong enough navies to patrol our waters to stop these things arriving here, and we do not want it to get into a situation where this becomes a kind of
sometimes the borders are so porous.
Borders.
These drugs arrive in this country very easily.
You know, the borders are porous until you try and cross them legitimately. Then you meet all these criminals in uniform trying to extort money from you, you know, which is kind of ironic because people who are going about their lawful legal business, you're probably just going to visit friends and family, and then they'll tell you, you know, give us your papers and we won't release them until you pay us a fee, which you don't get a receipt for. So it's obviously an unofficial fee. I mean, it's happening too much and far too frequently, and it's becoming disgusting, really. There was an article on the magazine The Republic, Sierra Leone guy, something Conte, and he tried to go between these countries, and he said he felt ashamed because he was traveling with two white people. At almost every border crossing they were let through, and he, with both the British and the Sierra Leone passport, was stopped, money demanded from him before he was let go, and the white people never faced any of that. He said he felt ashamed, and it's a big problem, that colonial mentality, kind of inferiority complex where you give deference to white people and you oppress your own black people.
I've seen Senegal changing the dynamics. I mean, now if you are getting into Senegal, you need to apply for a visa from another country.
Yeah, that's not changing any dynamic. If you and I are traveling from here to Senegal and we get all that nonsense, changing what dynamic, please? That's just
it's
a
gradual process. They've started with the visa. So I think that's a gradual process.
You get a visa and so what? It's not a big deal. You get a visa, you go.
There should be scrutiny. I mean, they scrutinize you before you get the visa.
That's fine. Not scrutiny, please. They don't scrutinize anybody. You know, and the thing is, it's an impediment because if Senegal wants to position itself as a tourist destination, these are things that they need to address. Nobody's saying don't get a visa. You know, you can get a visa on arrival. It's no big deal. Lots of countries do it.
Right.
You know, it's not a big deal. But you know, this kind of oppression at the borders, the land borders, it needs to stop, really. It needs to stop. So any other exciting, interesting stories?
Dozens of soldiers detained in Mali amid alleged coup plot.
Yeah, you know,
Mali again.
whenever you have a military junta, they spend half their time alleging coup plots against them. Yahya Jammeh was infamous for
it. So it means Assimi is not trusting anybody.
Assimi Goïta, they don't trust anybody. And it's ironic because they themselves came to power in a coup d'etat. So, you know, why shouldn't anybody try and, as it were, coup d'etat them? Look, you know, if people express displeasure, they automatically take that as you're plotting against them. So I take all of these claims by military juntas of coup plots against them with a pinch of salt, really. I don't believe 90% of them. They just want to get rid of people who are potential opponents or potentially want to be where they are.
I remember during Jammeh's time, I mean, there was a number of, there is a number of figures they give. They said these are the failed attempts.
I know.
You know,
they all do it. They all do it.
There are more than 30 to 40 of them. You understand?
Sékou Touré, there were more than, you know, that wasn't a military junta, I know, but Sékou Touré alleged, like he had the record of, you know,
the most attempted coup d'etat
and most attempted assassinations. You know, it was all nonsense. He just wanted to get rid of his enemies, you know, and it was a good ploy to use. And it's a similar one, and it deflects.
Do you believe?
Attention.
Yahya Jammeh made us believe he had a jinn, and, you know, he got all those relations with the jinns.
And they tipped
him off. It's now that I realize all was bunkum.
They tipped him off, but they didn't tip him off that he was going to lose an election.
Mr. Ade, thank you very much for
pleasure.
I mean, reviewing the stories with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And the minister took all of the time.
No, and rightly so. It was an interesting conversation.
We'll do this again. Is Friday a public holiday?
I don't know. You tell me.
I want to announce it officially.
Well, you can announce it.
I want to do it on behalf of State House.
Why, is it your birthday or something that it should be a public holiday?
All right. So thank you very much, viewers. We'll be right back after the break.
Do your banking the smart way with the new Agri Bank mobile app. Transfer money to any bank account in the Gambia. Top up airtime for all networks. Pay utility bills. Check your account balance and view mini statements. Request for ATM cards. Request for checkbooks and more in a single touch. So, do your banking in a smart way. Do your banking now with Agri Bank mobile app. Every time is banking time. Agri Bank, your investment partner.
At Agri Bank, we are more than banking. We build bridges that connect you to pivotal services every day. Do you have government bills to pay to the Gambia Revenue Authority, Comfort, KMC, or the Accountant General's Department? We've got you covered. From payment of customs and domestic taxes to GRA, payment of number plate and vehicle ownership transfer to Comfort, payment of property rates and business license fee to KMC, and payment of MR passport, business registration, fishing license, land fees, sale of assets, lease application, development permits, quarrying royalties, gravel and sand, mining royalties, and a host of other revenue lines to the Accountant General's Department. Walk into any of our branches nationwide and make your payments hassle-free. Either in person or online. Simple, secure, and immediate. With Agri Bank, there is no need to worry about government bill payments for your vehicles, taxes, licenses, business registration, and any other revenue line. Agri Bank, passionate about your investment. We've got you covered. Agri Bank, your investment partner.
QCell, the fastest growing network in the Gambia, now presents to you the eSIM. QCell's eSIM allows you to electronically scan a code and join the world of digital SIM cards. Customers with physical SIMs can easily switch to the eSIM as well. So rush now and get connected with an eSIM and start using the latest mobile technology with your trusted GSM operator. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sinubus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Q Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Mitoma. First time cross, really threatening, and it's dropped for Minte, rifled in! Out.
Did you know you can buy cash power using Q Money Wallet absolutely free up to 30,000 Dalasies?
We are back. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. Now let's head to the last segment of this program. Revised Code of Conduct for Journalists. We have Aissatou Keita, President, Gambia Press Union, and Tijan Jai, Monitoring and Evaluation Officer, International IDEA. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to this program. Aissatou, it's good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Balde. To be back here.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
You know, I mean, let's talk about force. I mean, why the need for this revised code of conduct?
Well, when you look at it, every profession you see, it's actually backed by ethics that actually governs what they do on a daily basis, and that's so as the journalism profession too. This is our code of ethics that we use as journalists, and this is what we are supposed to abide by. This was developed in 2020, and then if you look at the last portion of the document of the Charno Jala Charter, it's indicated that it will be revised after 5 years, and that is exactly what we've done. To actually update it, looking at the current trends in terms of journalism.
So it will interest us to know what are some of the main changes.
We obviously, you will talk about the issue of AI, artificial intelligence, which is actually a new norm now. We can't actually, people might not be able to do away with them, but these are a very important aspect
it's
that we've actually our daily lives now. So if you look at the last 5 years, it was not something that was actually that much famous as it is at the moment. But then we saw it's actually, we might not actually stop people from using it, but then what are some of the key aspects that we need to include in the document so that journalists could actually use it as a reference and then guide themselves in the aspect of using AI. So aside from that, we also include the aspect of misinformation and disinformation as well. We look at it on a daily basis. There is a plethora of the country is actually saturated in terms of information, but then how do you consider what is disinformation and misinformation, but also to help people to understand what constitutes misinformation, disinformation, and also the aspect of hate speech, which is also included in the document. We've also looked at the aspect of disability inclusion. It wasn't there initially. But then how do we look at their case in perspective? The disability bill was passed, which is now an act, but then how do we also include them in our reports and all that? So all of these things were not part of what we included in the previous document that we developed in terms of the Cherno Jala Charter, but we've also included the aspect of public health emergencies too, which is actually a very fundamental issue. So once this is actually done, well, we look at in the next 5 years, and then there are current changing trends as well. We look at those aspects, and then how does it align with our everyday journalism, and also we include them there. Yeah.
So Tijan, what was the involvement of International IDEA in this case?
International IDEA, like International is an intergovernmental organization that supports sustainable democracy nationwide. We are currently implementing a project called CODE, that is Consolidation of Democratic Dispensation in Gambia, funded by the European Union. So we have 4 boundary partners, in which GPU is one of the boundary partners we work with. So they reach out to us that we want to revise the Code of Conduct because it's due for review. So when they reach out to us, so we, through the European Union, we are able to provide support for them to review. A consultant was hired to to consult different stakeholders, because it was a consultative process to consult different stakeholders to draft the document. So was it last week we had to validate the document where most of the sectors were invited to that validation for 2 days. So that was why, you know, that was how internal idea came into contact with to be part of the process. So, but then, like she said, a lot of 4 components were added that were not in the code of conduct in the previous, because like the emergence of AI, like she said, hate speech and other aspects, that was the 4 components we've added in the document. So right now we're waiting for the consultant to incorporate all the comments and feedback from the participants we had last week. So perhaps when the consultant, you know, shared his final draft, we will maybe print the document. We intend to print 500 copies that will be distributed to media outlets, journalists, and media managers and editors.
And it's fully funded by international?
Fully funded by international, and the European Union code-funded project.
How much are we talking about here?
The project fund, you mean?
Yes.
Basically, if you look at the website, it's a huge amount of money. It's a three-year project. It started in 2023 and it's going to stop in 2026, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Aisha, what the participants, how were they selected, and who are the participants that were involved in the drafting?
Yeah, so these are journalists, senior journalists from different media institutions. Hence, the document is not going to be used by individual journalists, but media houses also themselves, because this we want to use for it to be also serve as a reference to media houses in terms of what they do on a daily basis. So we selected participants nationwide, media house, from all the media houses, because we had around 40 participants, but also we looked at other stakeholders that we've been working together, the MCG, which is a key aspect of the code of ethics. Hence, it's the one that actually focuses more on content in terms of what journalists do. And then this code of ethics actually would be under the Media Council of the Gambia. We've also looked at other stakeholders from the Gambia Bar Association, from the persons with disabilities. We also looked at CPA as well. We've invited them because we had an aspect of children's reporting that is there, but also the aspect of the issue of disability inclusion that is actually indicated there. So we invited all of these stakeholders to be a part of the process.
So how is this new, this revised edition going to handle misinformation and disinformation?
So it's not generally for it to be able to handle, but how do I ensure that the information that I am receiving, to ensure that whether this is a misinformation and disinformation or misinformation, how do I know that what constitute misinformation and disinformation, and what when that happens, what do I need to do as an individual? What do I do in terms of effort to ensure that I don't misinform or disinform the population? So that is what the document serves to, seeks to achieve at the end of the day. So it's just more like a tool for us to be able to arm ourselves to know that, oh, once I said that this is going to be misinformation, or once I do this, it's going to be disinformation. Or once I receive an information, what do I need to do before I just put the information out? So it's more like a guidance for you to be able to ensure that whatever information that you give out there for public consumption becomes something that is very much reliable and fit for purpose as well.
You know, like if I may add to what she has just said, because in any discipline in finance, there are a set of rules that you should abide by in order to enhance effective and efficient service delivery. So this code of conduct will serve as a guide, like she said, because we've seen a lot of misinformation sometimes on public media. So I think this guide will at least help the media and the journalists at least to be able to desist from such kind of information. Verify the information before you publish. I think because information is powerful. At the time you release an information, you can go retract. So that's why this tool is very, very helpful, and I thank GP for coming out with this initiative. Because international idea, we have a non-descriptive approach to our work. We don't prescribe. It is the boundary partners that will say, international idea, this is what we want to do. So at least when they prescribe those kind of activities to us, so that's the time we provide the funds. And for example, if there is a need for a consultant to be hired, they identify consultants to us. We don't prescribe. They identify consultants.
So the process was an independent and transparent.
Exactly, independent transparent, because sometimes they will share 3 consultants. Then we go through the vetting and look which one is suitable for the job. So basically, that's what we know. So
will there be a monitoring mechanism to make sure there is compliance with the code?
And who monitors?
So
who has
that's
the powers?
So that usually it's the Media Council of the Gambia who actually monitors content. It actually serves as a deterrent for journalists and also public. Once you see that there is something that a journalist has done which you feel it's against the code of ethics, you can just report it to the Media Council, and then actually serves as an arbitrary between the journalist and the individual in question. So the document, when you see, it's very, very progressive. Once everybody abides by what is enshrined in the code of ethics, I think we will actually eventually do away with people having problems questioning how ethical journalists actually are. Even the aspect of broadcast journalism is included, whether in terms of people that you film and all that, what do you need to do, especially if certain individuals are alleged to have committed certain crimes, you need to blur their faces, the aspect of even viewer discretion, doing viewer advisory before you even publish certain images, because not everybody is actually could be able to see certain images which might actually appear very, very much gruesome in certain instances. The document, if it is anything to go by, even if when it was developed first in 2020, it is very progressive and includes everything that a journalist needs to focus on and use to ensure that you don't come in contact with the law or have certain issues that will actually affect your credibility or what you do on a daily basis. And now we've seen the updated version has included certain aspects, which is very, very much important. And I think this should be something that every journalist should be able to work with and ensure that whatever we do is within the confines of the law. So that is why, if you look at it, there have been so many instances that we have journalists having issues with individuals or having issues with the law. I always go back, but these are enshrined in the code of ethics. Why are we not abiding by what is enshrined in the code of ethics? Because it's not an individual that developed it. It was a consultative process. So that was why we actually had to include everybody, even when the consultant developed it. All the stakeholders were invited, so that we reviewed it holistically to look at what has been included and what needs to be there and what needs not to be there, so that after it's done, it becomes a fine-tuned document that will be able to serve its purpose in terms of arming journalists with the requisite skills in terms of ethics and what guides the profession.
So in that case, will the GPU defend a journalist who happens to publish a controversial story? Because there is this conversation about, okay, what is of public interest and what is not of public interest, and how do we journalists actually strike a balance between, knowing that, okay, this story, it is a controversial story, but it is of public interest. In that case, does the GPU defend that particular journalist who wrote a story that is controversial, but it is of public interest?
Well, if it is, every story, one thing you first look at is whether the story is of public interest. Right. So why? And so what? If I do the story, and so what? That becomes a question that you ask. Right. If it is of public interest and doesn't undermine anything in terms of national security, why not? Yes, so that is why most of the times when you see us come out to defend journalists, we are defending press freedom, because they have the right to publish. But sometimes it's not every information that you publish, but we look at how much is that information in question of public interest. Then we go with that. So all of these things are actually in the document.
So freelance journalists and citizen journalists, I mean, are they also covered when it comes to the code of conduct?
Yeah, so it's like, I am working as a journalist, and this is what I want to do. How do I want to be seen as a journalist? Do I just want to be called any Tom, Dick, and Harry on the head? But then how do I want to be seen and remembered as a journalist? There's particular individuals, once you mention their names, now people, he doesn't say the truth. He's not he's not factual in terms of it. But then how do I want to be seen? So if you, depending on who you are and what you want to be seen and remembered in terms of your media house, you will have to abide by the code of ethics. So it's not like something that is must binding, but this is what should be used, just like any other profession. Maybe doctors will tell you that you are supposed to do this, you are not supposed to do this. You are supposed not to disclose certain information of a patient. So that is part of the ethics of the doctors. But whether are they abiding by it or not, some are not actually abiding. But then the ethics is there for it to help you ensure that this is what you are supposed to do and this is how you are supposed to do it.
So international idea, do you have any plans to conduct an impact assessment, maybe in a year or two, to actually know the impact this particular document has on journalists, especially in the way they are operating their work?
For now, like I said, we are in partnership with GPU. Right. For now, perhaps maybe in the future, we might look into that, because like you said, it's also important to assess the policies or maybe the documents that most of the documents, for example, in the Gambia, they lack the monitoring mechanisms.
Right.
Yeah, because it's like if you implement midway, you need to conduct an assessment to see whether,
That's the reason why I asked.
Yeah, exactly, because I'm on a monitoring and evaluation officer.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's important to measure, to make an assessment, to measure the level of performance, whether there are limitations, whether there are, progresses, whether there are no progresses. For now, at this stage we are in, we've not have that in mind, but I think it's also important that we need to look into that, to assess maybe the code of conduct midway. Perhaps maybe in 2027 or
so maybe in other way that also could be done in terms of it might not be that much effective in terms of monitoring, but that will be the responsibility of the Media Council of the Gambia in terms of the cases that will be reported to them. And also some of the publications, when publications are being made on a daily basis in terms of newspapers and even radios, they also monitor all of these things. Once it's something that is beyond against the ethics, you are actually flagged and the person in question is actually called to engage in terms of whatever publication that is being made. Yeah.
All right, public trust, I mean, it's very important. I hope this code will be able to build that.
Yes, that's the purpose, to be able to ensure that people trust in terms of what we do as journalists on a daily basis. Public trust is very much important.
Absolutely.
So it's like you doing something and at the end of the day, you're doing it to a public that doesn't even care what you're doing. But then how do I ensure that whatever information I am giving to the public, it's fit for consumption? It's just like food, cooking food and delivering it. If I don't trust your food, I'm never going to eat it. So, and then it doesn't feel good for me to cook food and it's not being eaten by the people that it's intended to serve. So it's the same way with it. So if I want people to consume whatever I am cooking, I'll ensure that whatever is given for me to actually take in terms of precautions, I will take those things as possible, as soon as possible. So because we also want whatever information we serve the public, it's fit for consumption, but also public trust the informations that we give them.
So is there a provision whereby the general public can lodge a complaint under this code?
Yes, that is why that becomes the role of the Media Council. The public have an opportunity to lodge complaints. So when you look at the Media Council, it was also set up in a way that it serves as a deterrent for people, in journalists not to drag to court, like an arbitrary sort of. Yes. So once you have a breach in terms of a journalist doing certain things, you can actually lodge the complaint to the Media Council, and the Media Council serves as a way in terms of complaint mechanism to look at how best the issues can be addressed without it being pushed to the courts. Yeah.
So does the code, does it have any clause where it talks about protecting investigative journalists and whistleblowers?
Whistleblowers is also indicated there, yes.
Because I think that is very important, especially at this time where journalists will publish stories and then officials, especially politicians, will come and say that this is not true. I think it's important to help journalists to go about, whistleblowers and investigating stories that are critical to the public.
And even part of our partnership, maybe with International Idea, we are not even just stopping at the aspect. It has been a crucial partner for the Gambia Press Union, because if you could recall, we developed the Assault and Battery Guide, and it was supported by, in partnership with International Idea, been supported by the European Union, and we also developed the Sexual Harassment Policy, which is also due for review. It was developed the same time as the Charno Jalo Charter, so that was also developed, which is also due for review, and it is going to be in partnership with International Idea, again funded by the European Union.
So I said, let's finally talk about the registration for journalists to go and register under the Gambia Press Union.
Yes.
I mean, how are you following that?
So we are actually making follow-ups. I think I've not that, my next step was going to be QTV, because I've started with Star TV, and we've got a massive registration and engage that. So, but that I don't want to put Aliu under the bus, but we've actually had our welfare committee that should be able to take care of that, which is already actually set up. So in each media house, we will be having what we call the focal persons for the GPU there. So that individual in question will be the one to be responsible for all of those aspects of registration, and will also be the one to take care of any issues that will be confronting journalists, which the welfare committee might take up. If that can't, then it will actually come to be forwarded to the GPU board, because we want to develop what we have a procedural way in which we will be able to address the complaints and welfare issues as far as our members are concerned. So at the moment, what we have in terms of registration is it's a manual way. We're still trying to develop.
You go pay.
Yeah, you will go to the office. Or usually you can go to the website and download the form. Once you download the form, you then fill everything
and
that you want to do, and then you return the form. But at the moment, we are working at ensuring that we are able to have an online registration system, even with the payment. Once you are able to register and fill everything online, and it's going to be approved as well online. So once approved, you can also make your payments.
We are out of time now. I mean, thank you very much, Tijan and Aissatou, for coming, and you know, we hope to engage you more in the future. Thank you very much, and thanks to our director, Aliou Jallow. I mean, Aliou, sorry, I know we've exhausted the time already, but that is what it is. Viewers, enjoy the rest of our programs. Until we come again, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.